Alright, so a little video of my garage. Alright, this is my side door here, and found this old sign, so I hung it up. Just drip water all over my phone here, but it'll be alright. So I'll come in here and turn on the light. And so now, when I first came in, the garage looked like this wall. Okay, so sheathing instead of sheetrock, I don't really understand that, and then more sheathing on the top, so it's not correct, but that's alright. So I wanted to hang a mini split ductless heating and AC system, and I didn't want it to be mounted on a wall like this because I wasn't sure what was behind it. So I decided to start ripping the wall off. All my outlets are on the outside, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not what I'm into. So I started ripping all the walls off, and as you can see, a lot of the insulation is just simply missing. And the reason is because of mice and squirrels. Okay, so there was so many, as you can see, in certain spots, it has become piles. So what I did was I ripped this entire wall out. My buddy Mike Reynolds, like the Saran wrap, some of you may know him, gave me a door. So I said, you know what, I'm going to put a door in the back of the garage. So I added a door. And for those construction workers out there, I understand there's no header. This is not the main bearing wall, and I am going to build a header anyway, but it was just something I could worry about later, because as you can see, this was originally a pole barn. Okay, so as you can see, there's the other pole. Right there. Sorry, it takes a second to focus. There's the other pole. And pole, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I ripped the ceiling out because when I found the insulation to be so bad, I decided I was just going to redo all the insulation. So then once I did all their insulation, I decided that I was going to change the electric. So as you can see, I have upgraded to 30 amp from a 20 amp. I believe this is a 20 amp. It could be a 15, but I believe that's a 20 amp. So I switched them out and reran. So what I did was I ran up to the junction. From the junction, I went down to an outlet, over to an outlet. From the same junction, I ran out to another junction. So from that junction, I ran down into the wall to another junction. From that junction to an outlet, to a double outlet, to an outlet. From the same junction to an outlet, to an outlet. So right now all my supplies and whatnot are here. The things I'm trying to keep out of my way as I'm trying to work and move things back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This is eventually going to be where the workbench is, because this is going to be the most outlets where I can plug things in and move things around. So this will have my roller cart, but it doesn't matter. I figure I might as well throw in some outlets while I'm at it. Okay, so now from that junction, I ran in the ceiling. This is the totally self-lit light that was already there, which is still going to be a light, but I haven't decided if I'm going to upgrade the wires or not, because there's really nothing wrong with them. They're just old. Okay, so from the other junction, I ran over to an outlet in the ceiling. Okay, from that outlet, I ran over to another outlet so that I can plug in my garage door opener straight into the ceiling. And then from here, I have an extension cord that I can mount onto this rafter and joist. Sorry, right? Joist, right? Joist. So I can mount that here, and then it has one of those pull downs where I can run it around and then retract it whenever I want, and it'll plug into there. It'll be nice and easy, and then it'll just be an extra one for whenever I need to do stuff and I just need an extra outlet handy. Okay, so from the sheathing to all the sheetrock, I added a door, and then Go Green, check them out. Go Green Express put in a mini split for me. Now this is a Fujitsu, and it is on right now, and the only thing you can hear is the rain. Okay, so now this has, I'm still learning it, but this has all kinds of features. So now, sorry, I'm trying to look at it through the phone. It has economy mode. It has energy saving mode, which I would assume they were the same thing, but I don't know, I guess not. So right now, I have it in dry mode, which basically means it's acting as a dehumidifier. And all that's going to do is keep all of my expensive cast iron from rusting. I know you see rust on it already, but that's from before, and that's why I did all this. So right now, as you can see, it's glistening. I put some WD-40 on so it will not rust anymore. But now that I have this mini duct, or mini split in here, once I finish closing everything in, this will help keep all my stuff from rusting. So like I said, this has a dry mode, it has a fan mode, a heat mode, auto mode, and cool. So if you wanted to, you could set it. Alright, so look, if I put it on cool, cold, now you can actually hear it blow a little bit. Okay, and I would assume if you put it on auto, you just set the temperature, and then it will go back and forth between heat and AC as needed. Okay, so I like to, for right now, since I don't have my ceiling closed in, I just like to keep it on dehumidifier, and it works really, really softly. And I also like to do the digital deadbolts and knobs, because that way you don't have to worry about having keys. They're just really handy, and they're pretty cheap nowadays. So now the other thing is pretty neat when shut it off. Like a transformer, it closes up, keeps it nice and sealed to protect it, and then I turn it back on. And it'll open back up, and you can barely hear it. Then there's also a setting on here if maybe your condenser, which is the part that goes outside, makes too much noise. Outdoor unit low noise. I don't need that where I live in the middle of nowhere up on the mountain, but it is a nice thing to have. And this is the extension cord that I was talking about. It'll be mounted to the ceiling, and then you can pull and retract. So I come out here, it's still raining, and here is my condenser. Real small, real slim, close to the wall, 18 inches off the ground in case the snow builds up. It'll still be able to breathe, and this is a sub-zero version, so it'll work up to -15 degrees. So I can keep my shop nice and toasty, warm in the winter, and nice and cool in the summer. Some of you already saw on my Facebook and maybe my Instagram, this is where I patched the ceiling. There was originally a wood stove here, And the chimenea was ran up through here, and he had some planks. Now there was a little bit of mold, nothing big. Come up here a little bit. I happen to have a step ladder here. Okay, so actually there's a tiny bit more I gotta paint. I didn't notice, but this is that Kills paint. There really wasn't. There was some sheathing behind that was a little bit bad, but it wasn't a big deal. Most of what was bad I pulled right out. But then I just overdid it. I did spots that didn't even need it. And I put the Kills paint on. Okay, and I cleaned it up. And then I changed the sheathing, and that's the sheetrock. I'm sorry, the shingles. And I added sheetrock in here, covered everything up. And then also I added a sister joint, whatever you want to call it, a sister piece of wood, for one of the rafters. It was a little soft. There was some spots that towards the end they were just a little soft, but it wasn't terrible, and I didn't want to cut it out, so just cleaned it up, painted it nice, and sistered that piece in there. And when I come back, probably later this summer, I'll go through and I'll do the ceiling properly. I do proper plywood, and I'll just redo it completely, because I do have a couple of dark spots still, but nothing too major. You know, it's just like one or two pieces, so I'll take them out. It seems to me like, as you can see, there's sheathing and plywood. It seems to me like somebody did the roof wrong originally, and they've been slowly fixing it piece by piece. So, but I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like. But yeah, sheathing's not really what should be up there. It should be plywood. Sheathing should be for the outside of these walls. And then, like, you know, you can use it for, you know, maybe the floors of your attic, stuff like that. But it really should be more structural. It does hold fine and everything's fine, but it's getting redone. That's why I just used what I had laying around. So, and then the only other thing I did was, so far, when I did these walls, I tore them out and I basically made them bare. They had the studs going the wrong way. This was basically the stud. That doesn't work. Okay, so when I pull these fake studs out, there is these are part of the pole barn, and this is what, you know, you would use just to connect them and maybe put your metal corrugated on the outside. This window is done completely wrong. Okay, so it has a header on the top, and it does not go down to the floor on the bottom. That makes no sense. I'm not sure what these are called, because I'm not a carpenter. I just know how to do these things. But this piece should be going all the way to the floor, and so should that one. And then you put a header on the top. Okay, no big deal. I'm going to replace the window to begin with, because there's you can't see it right now, but when it's sunlight, you can see there's a gap in there, and then the window's just broken to begin with. So that's going to come out. I'm going to put a proper window in there. The old fake studs are going to come out, and then what I do is I take the 1-inch rigid foam, and it fits in here perfectly with these I don't know what they're called. I guess it would be cladding, so you put in the 1-inch foam here, and then I don't think that had mold. I think I just painted that because I was testing it out. So I put the 1-inch rigid. This is the 1-inch rigid. So as you can see, I have a whole bunch of it still. Alright, normally 2 inches really good, but this 1-inch works perfect, putting it in there. And then I stud out the wall, and then from there I've been using the batt insulation, and this stuff is it's got no paper. It's the mold resistant, fire resistant, thermal insulation. It works really well. And it's really good for basements, attics, outside walls. And I figured, since I'm having a garage and, you know, things could potentially be moist out here, the better I can keep moisture out, the better, especially since I'm working with wood. I need it the right humidity, the right temperature all year round. This thing's gonna have to run constantly. So I need something that's efficient. I need to be insulated properly. I need everything done right. Otherwise, I'm gonna ruin all my wood projects, and I'm going to ruin all my tools. So this is the proper way to do it. So This wall still has to be torn out. This wall I have started, and I do, each electric as I go, because everything's basically ran, and I just rerun it with the, with the better wire, and I change receptacles. And then over here, what I was planning on doing was, I have the switch that has the outlet on it, so I'm going to run that. Here's the garage door opener that needs to be fixed, and then I'm going to run another outlet down here that's going to go outside, so that way we'll have one for outside. I already fixed my outside vent, closed it in, keeping the wasp out. I did my fascia and my soffits, and if you're not sure what they are, basically it's the outside version of right here. So when you go out here, there should be air right here that goes out, and then there's the soffits that are right here, and this breathes, okay? And then this is your fascia. Sorry, this is your fascia right here. And this, basically what this and this do is, really, this needs to let it breathe, but it also keeps animals out, and this is obviously keeping the water off. Then this little white plastic piece right here is your drip edge. Okay, so there's some parts on my garage that don't even have drip edge. As you can see, there's some old drip edge here, and you can't see in the picture, but there's gap. Oh, you guess you can a little bit. There's some gaps here. That's no good. Okay, so all that is ways water can get in right here. Okay, the siding does not cover all the way to the edge, and there's no molding anyway, so that's not good, because what happens is this all just soaks up water and eventually it turns moldy. The wood gets ruined. It's not tempered. It's not treated wood, so it needs to be taken care of. So then the only other thing, soffit vents. So I'll take these pink things, you slide them in here, and all that does is make sure that when you have your sheetrock here, like the sheathing is and shouldn't be, is that when you put in your insulation, it doesn't go in so far that you block that hole, and now that's not going to breathe. So basically, it's just extra assurance to make sure that that is always able to breathe, because up there it should be getting nice air, and it vents out there, and it vents out the other side right there. Okay, and you need free air movement. And then wow, I can't think of the name, but I need also need the vents to go here. I know everybody's jumping on it right now. They're like, oh, I know the name. Ridge vents? I think so. But anyway, so what I'll be doing when I redo the roof on the outside is I'll be cutting this so there's a little more space, and then you put a piece of shingle that just sits over the top, and it has vents on the side, and it lets air move through. That way all your air can move freely through here. And then there'll be sheetrock. Well, actually what it'll be is insulation, then vapor barrier, which is the plastic, and then sheetrock, and everything will cover with the sheetrock, so it'll stay nice and warm in here, and then get lots of air ventilation up there, and that's how you properly do everything. And I don't know if I finished saying before, but after I used that insulation in the studs, I put vapor barrier. I believe this is 6 mil. Yep, this is 6 mil. And then I put sheetrock, and for right now I'm not worrying about painting or taping, because it's just about insulating, but I will be probably doing that. I was going to leave it, but my buddy was suggesting that if I don't do it and I don't put paint on there, then if I spill anything on the wall, then what happens is it soaks right in there, and then you never can get it off, and everything looks bad and greasy and gross. So I probably will just put a coat on real quick. I do have an electric spray painter, so probably just use that, pull everything out one day and just hit it off really fast, and it dries pretty quick and everything. So yeah, so basically this is all because, like I said, because of the mice and the squirrel. So now there's no way for them to get in, so now it's time to finish up the garage. Here's all my sheetrock ready to go. There's my electric ready to go. There's all my old studs. I pulled all these studs out of the basement when we gutted the basement, because Basement wasn't insulated properly, so that's what it is. So I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching, and like, comment, share, subscribe, and do all that stuff that makes people watch my videos more.